Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm Dutt Niranjan. I'm a PhD scholar at Karnataka University. I'm really happy that you have joined across India, across the world, and I'm really happy that you are supporting the Apply Club of Play and Sport. I'm fortunate that you people have supported this launch event. And in very short introduction, I would like to request Olivia to introduce us to what AN is about and what are the Apply Clubs about. Yeah.
Thank you. So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Olivia. I'm a current convener of the Applied Anthropology Network. And the network's main aim is to promote the value of anthropological approaches and thoughts outside of the academic realm. The Applied Clubs are one of our activities or initiatives that was started initially in 2021 to facilitate dialogue and discussion on more specific topics among practitioners and other interested individuals. And I'm really excited that today we're officially launching our 10th Apply Club, namely the Apply Club for the Anthropology of Play and Sport. Tatani Ranjan approached us some months ago with the idea for a club revolving around the anthropological approaches and discourse in the field of sport, which is something we haven't really covered yet, so we were super curious to learn more about it ourselves. And through other conversations, the suggestion was made to combine it with the field of play, as these can frequently overlap or at least benefit from the discussions both ways. Therefore, we were also particularly happy to soon find a perfect co-lead for the club, Stephanie, which we'll also hear more about in a moment. So yeah, today will be a super interesting discussion on those two topics, and I'm really interested to hear how it's going. And on that note, I will hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for summarizing about AN and the Apply Clubs. The idea was simple that once I would like to thank Jennifer Studbeck, who introduced me to Apply Clubs, and we approached to AN, and fortunate that Olivia and her team supported us. The idea was simple that anthropology of play or sport has been um, one of the topic which has been discussed since ages. I think it was Johann Hozinga who introduced the topic of Homo ludens, that the human plays the prominent part of human societies and culture. So from there till today, we have been exploring, and I genuinely felt that we should have one Apply Club at AN where we can come across the world to discuss about our topics and how we can reap the benefits as anthropologists from in this area. I have a short video to play to all of you about the AN Club, what it is about. So just okay.
Welcome to AAN's Apply Club of Play and Sport, where human movement meets meaning. At AAN's Apply Club, we explore the socio-cultural and biological dimensions of play, games, and sports. These are powerful mediums of meaning, identity, and transformation. Through an anthropological lens, we examine how play and sport shape societies. How do people use play to learn, resist, and adapt? What can games tell us about culture, power, and social belonging? From local traditions to international platforms, we explore how sport reflects cultural narratives. It is a site of performance, discipline, teamwork, and adaptation. We critically study how caste, class, gender, economics, and region intersect in sport. Anthropology helps us unpack these dynamics and propose inclusive pathways forward. With Dattaniranjan Nandikolmath, a PhD scholar in the anthropology of sport at Karnataka University, Dharwad, as the current club lead. This Apply Club aims to bring academic rigor to real-world sport contexts. AAN's Apply Club is a space to build a community of sports anthropologists and foster new ideas around play and sport. It is also a platform for nurturing and mentoring future anthropologists. Join AAN's Apply Club and be part of a global conversation. Let's explore how anthropology can change the way we think about play, sport, and society.
That was a short introduction about our club. I think Professor Jaiswal is also joining. Yes. So briefly, we will start. It's a small effort where we are exploring all these aspects, and we encourage across people across the world who have been working in this area to join us, discuss their viewpoints. And I'm really happy that recently our club has got new co-lead, Stephanie. She's joining from Denmark. She can you can introduce yourself, Stephanie. Yes,
I
please.
will. I'll say a little bit, and as you can see, I have a young gentleman who's also joining us from time to time. But yeah, I am Stephanie Steinbeck. I am currently employed at the National Museum of Denmark as of 6 weeks ago. I have a PhD where I wrote about children's museum experiences at the Workers' Museum of Denmark that I did at Copenhagen Business School. And right now I'm a part of a project that explores what we can do to incorporate play in developing museum experiences. And so where we have the very big sports lead, I guess I'm more in the play field. Just for reference, today I spent my day at a castle dressed in Renaissance clothes. Classic participant observation, trying to figure out what are they doing up there to play in Hamlet's castle. So I'm very excited to talk a little bit more about play, because I genuinely think anthropology and play go together, because what else are we doing but playing all the time with people? So I'm very excited to be part of this.
Thank you, Stephanie, and I'm really happy that you have joined us as co-lead with us. Now it's time to introduce our guests of the day. I am very happy to introduce about Professor Christoph Wulf. He's a distinguished professor of anthropology and education at I think, University of Free University at Berlin. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. He has done a groundbreaking work and translate. His work has been translated to 20 different languages. He's the founding secretary of the Education Commission of the International Peace Research Association and has led several key academic networks, including the Commission on Pedagogical Anthropology in Germany. Honored with the honorary professorship from the University of Bosch, Boschred, and honorary membership in the German Society of Educational Science. He has held visiting roles at Stanford, Paris, Tokyo, and beyond. His research explains cultural and pedagogical anthropology, performativity, ritual, emotion, and Anthropocene education. I came across Dr. Wolf through his paper on the anthropology of play, and I'm very really fortunate that we have us with him. So, sir, can you able to hear us, Professor
No, I
Wolf?
can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
hear me
proceed.
too, I guess. Yeah.
Sir?
Okay. Then can I start or how?
Sir, please do start. Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. My topic is anthropology of play. Man only plays when he is, in the fullest sense of the word, a human being. And he is only fully a human being when he plays. This is a very important sentence in the anthropology and aesthetics of play. Play and games are voluntary actions that have their own intrinsic goal and differ from action in the normal everyday world. It is in play that people form their cultural abilities. It is here that they create themselves as individuals, express emotions, and creatively deal with the demands of the outside world. In play, people generate social relationships, develop their own personalities, and create community and culture. Games are different and diverse, and they are unlimited in number. New games are constantly being invented. It is very hard to classify them all. Play is a movement, an activity that has no purpose, but aims to give pleasure and joy. even though playful or ludic elements are necessary for the creative design of work and purposeful activities, play is not determined by the logic of the world of work. In general, it is neither instrumental nor utilitarian. That is why the free play is also very important for children, for the development of imagination and practical knowledge that can be communicated. Games and plays are of considerable importance in childhood and in the early education of children. Since many games and ludic arrangements are often physical enactments and performances, they often carry more social weight than mere discourses. With their physicality, the players contribute more than merely linguistic communication. This more is rooted in the materiality of their bodies and the physical existence of other people. With the staging and performance of games, differences are processed and commonalities are created. People stage themselves and their relationships to others in play. By inviting people to play along, games invite them to accept the structure that are revealed in the games as acceptable. You know, it's very difficult to determine what types of games exist. And I refer now to a suggestion which Roger Caillois, a French author, has proposed, and I think this is very interesting. He makes a decision between 4 types of game or of play. You know, the problem in play and game is that in German, we have only one word which relates game and play and makes not the decision, the differentiation you have in English. And this is an advantage and of course also a disadvantage. Anyway, so 4 types. The first one is the agon. It's a Greek word that means the fight. This refers to competitive games in which the objectives is to win, football game, soccer game, and so on. As in chess or soccer, 2 opponents face each other, each trying to defeat the other. One wants to measure oneself against one's opponent and thereby experience one's own strength. Traditionally, these games are played more often by boys and men, although this is changing in the modern world. Women's soccer, for example. The second type is alea. It's a Latin word that means the chance. Be lucking, you know, the chance. Chance plays a crucial role here. Male and female players learn that the success in the game does not depend first and foremost on their own skill, but on chance, which even if you try again and again, you cannot influence. You play either against or alongside a power that is superior to you and that decides whether you win or lose. For example, dice games are an example of this. The third type of game is the following one. In these games, it's called ILLIX, ILLINX. In these games, one tries to bring oneself into a state of intoxication that is clearly different from normal life. Children try this, for example, by spinning rapidly in circles until they lose their balance and sink to the ground in a state of intoxication. Young people seek similar experiences as at fun fairs on the merry-go-around or roller coaster in which their bodies are greatly accelerated by circular movements or by dropping. Bungee jumping is another example for this. And the fourth type is mimicry. People use masks, costumes, and makeup to try to give themselves a different identity. They no longer want to be who they are, but want to signal through the appropriate clothes that they are someone or something else. This component plays an important role at popular festivals such as carnivals, which have parades and disguises. So let me repeat it: 4 types of game I would like to decide to differentiate. The first one is the agon, that is the fight. The second one is the alea, R-L-E-A, that means the chance. That's the dice games, for example. The third one is the illings, L-L-I-N-X. That means that you just try to turn around and get into another stage of consciousness. Bungee jumping was the example. And mimicry is the fourth type. That is where you take a mask and you want to have another identity, a new identity, and at least for the time of the game. Okay, the staging and execution of many games requires performative expressions and props. In the case of the World Cup, for example, it is mascots that invoke happiness, or there are intensive training programs to ensure participants will be in top conditions. Also, the commentaries that classify and evaluate the game afterwards play a role here. So it's the intention to create a framework and to make this through your activity relevant, and to create something what in the aesthetics we call Gesamtkunstwerk. That means it's one piece of art. As a good football game, is composed of lots of different aspects. And you could say that is like a piece of art where many different things get together. The commentary at the end is also important, as well as all the other different moments in a saucer game. Games require movements of the body, which result in closeness or distance between the participants of the game. Social attitudes and postures are often expressed in the participant body movement. Competitive relationships requires movement of the body that are different from those in friendly or even intimate relationships. By shaping ludic situations with the help of the body movements, the body is also shaped. Play is more than the realization of intentions. The excess of meaning consists, among other things, in the way in which players pursue and attempt to achieve their goals. Desires, experiences, and sensation enter into this process. Despite the similarity of a game in its intentions, significant differences will be evident in the staging of the physical performance of the players and in the how of the performance of the game. This is very important. The how makes the difference and the specific character of a game. The performative also contains an aesthetic dimension that is a characteristic not only of artistic performances, but also of many games. So the beauty of a soccer game, for example, we talk about that. This points to the limitations of a functionalistic approach to the performativity of games. Just as the aesthetic aspect of artistic performances leads to there being more than simply intention-driven action, this aesthetic dimension also reminds us that the meaning of games is not exhausted in the achieving of goals. The way in which the players achieve their goal is just as important as the goals themselves. So it's not just winning what is important, but also the way how the whole process is created and structured. Let me now, to finish, give you 10 elements of which I consider constitutive for games. The first one is space and time. Games take place in certain spaces and times, and they structure space and time in their staging and performance. For example, a stadium becomes a soccer stadium through soccer games, and it becomes another type of stadium through other types of game. The second important element is rules. Games succeed only when their participants adhere to specific rules, even if these are rules they develop themselves. They provide the criteria according to which games are played. Third point, imagination. Games require players to create their own world with the help of their imagination and to be willing to move in it and shape it. Fourth point, the as-if. In games, seriousness and non-seriousness overlap. Players throw themselves into the game, even though they know at the same time that it is a game and not a real confrontation in which defeat might have existentially dangerous consequences. Next element is the flow and experience of meaning. Games are made meaningful and enjoyable by the fact that there is a flow between their participants. Each move responds to another as if by itself. As if by itself, a flow of game movement arises to which there seems to be no alternative. You have that sometimes in soccer games, that there's a flow. It just functions wonderfully. Nobody knows exactly why. And then there are moments where this flow does not take place. And the pleasure we have when we look at a soccer play, or if we play ourselves, is to participate in this flow experience, which also relates the visitor with the player. Next point is mimesis. Playing is a mimetic process. That means a process of creative imitation. The players make reference to the rules and setting up of previous games. In doing so, they take an imprint of these, as it were, and use them independently in their current game. In this way, they do not restrict the design of their game, but allow freedom of game design. And that is a very important point also, that for a game functions, that that the mimetic relationship between the player, and that this is also often a body-based relationship created through the senses and not through rationality. The next important point is the performativity. Games are the result of stagings and performances in which physical and sensual components play a central role. If one arranges to play a game, a dodgeball, for example, then all participants know what is being played. They know the staging of dodgeball, which it's with its rules and peculiarities, and based on this knowledge, create concrete performances that differ with each repetition. Next important point is practical knowledge. Being able to play requires not only linguistic and cognitive knowledge, but also practical knowledge that is acquired in mimetic processes in the practice of playing, with the help of which the players can participate in the game in a formative way. Finally, or almost finally, community. Games make a community out of the players. In games, the participants experience their interdependence and can only succeed if feelings of connectedness arise between them. You know that, when the Indian play, it is of course an identification with the Indian community which takes place, and that is something very characteristic for games, the creation of a community. The next point is functionalistness. Games have no function outside of themselves. They are self-referential and pursue only their own goals. Only in a meta-analysis can a function beyond them be identified. If you take soccer game, you can see it. I mean, on the first point, there is no function in it. On the other hand, economical mise en scène, and of course, this implies then additional perspectives. And the last 2 points, which I would like to mention, is the game utensils. Many games use game utensils. For instance, the soccer game uses the soccer ball, or the game of Ludo uses the correct board, counters, and dice. And the last point is the uncertainty of the game outcome. Players do not know in advance how a game will end. Its outcome is open. Dealing with not knowing and uncertainty is a condition of playing. And you could say this is also a condition of life. And that's why the anthropological dimension of games and plays is so important, because it is something like a representation of our life, which you could consider and conceive also as a game, as a play. Okay, I think I'll just to finish with a few words. In today's society, which is characterized by discussions about the disintegration of what is social, the loss of values, and the search for cultural identity, games and ludic arrangements are increasingly important. They take on a bridging function between individuals, communities, and cultures. They generate social cohesion, which through the ethical and aesthetical content of games provides security in times and confusion. Games and ludic arrangements offer compensation for the loss of community identity. That's why games are essential in all human cultures. They create the identity. They help us to build communities, and they help us also to enjoy moments of game and have fun in life. And this is, of course, a very important dimension of happiness and of fulfilled life. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. We have some questions. We will go to Professor Jaiswal's presentation, and then we'll take some questions. I will shortly introduce our next guest, Professor Ajeet Jaiswal. He is Director of Faculty Affairs and Head of Department of Anthropology at Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya. Holds a PhD from Delhi University. He's author of 16 books and over 116 publications. And he has developed over 50 modules at national platforms like IGNO and EPG Pathshala, and delivered 47 video lectures which are spread across India. And he has guided numerous PhD scholars and he's editor-in-chief of India Logs. He has presented over 100 plus academic events, and he has contributed greatly to the anthropology of sport also. I know him across because he has written a good book, very good, wonderful book on anthropology and sport. I'm very fortunate that we have with us Dr. Ajeet Jaiswal. I would request Professor Ajeet Jaiswal to present his talk. Professor, please.
Yeah, is it audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Christoph Wulf, for delivering a wonderful lecture, and it's really highly useful for us to add something to the existing knowledge of anthropology and sports. I basically used to do some work on the anthropology of and in sports. Basically, I preferably used to call it as anthropology, anthropometry, and sports. It is very important for us to know the relevance of anthropology as well as anthropometry, especially in the field of sports. And we have seen we never give much importance, especially in that context. So that's why today I will try to discuss some of the basic concept of anthropology in sports, in anthropometry, physics and sports, and choosing suitable sports activity for individual. I have seen it's quite obvious that many times while selecting any sports, we never give relevance or importance to some of the anthropometric parameter, which we call it as skin anthropometric value, while selecting the sports. And ultimately, when we try to analyze the success rate of any person as a sports personality concerned, it may never be coming out in that format, in that way, as it was supposed to be expected. And before going to discuss something deep in that way, let me give you a brief historical as well as a systematic knowledge so that the concept will be much more smoother and clearer to all of you. The early 1970s witnessed the emergence of a new scientific discipline, and we preferably called it as the anthropometry of sports or kinanthropometry. If you try to understand the term called kin anthropometry, it is comprised of three important Greek words. One is called as kin, which means to move. Second is called anthropo, which means man, and metric means to measure. So it refers to the dynamic relationship and quantitative interface between human structure and function. Means here to say that the morphological feature of human being and their ergonomic characteristics. So we may say that if we try to understand it from the definition point of view, it is defined as the study of human size, shape, proportion, composition, maturation, gross function, and cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory function that enable us to understand growth, exercise, performance, and nutrition. Means here to say that even since that time, anthropometry has grown to be an all-encompassing scientific interest with the application in research related to toxicology, physical anthropology, human biology, physical education, sports science, and even in medical sciences. So if you see, there are series of terminology that we generally use to define this relationship. Either we may call it as a dynamic anthropometry, sports anthropometry, physiological anthropometry. So all these terms used by different scientists and can try to define in a sphere of kin anthropometry. We may also say that the predominant focus is on obtaining detailed measurement of the body compositions of individual for the application of various fields. So kin anthropometry known to be a medium for individuals to contribute to basic research and application and is closely associated to physical education, sports science and medicine, human biology, gerontology, physical anthropology, science of growth, ergonometry, and other specific several such disciplines. And we may also, we may, if we try to understand in a much more simplified terminology, we can say that it is a scientific specialization dealing with body measurement in a variety of morphological perspectives. Its application to movement and those factors which influence movement, like the component of body build, body compositions, body proportion, shapes and maturation, cardiorespiratory capacities, motor abilities, physical activities, including we can say that recreational activities, highly specialized sports performance, and so on. So overall, if we try to understand it, we may say that anthropometry, of course, or kin anthropometry is an unknown world for many people, except those inside the field of sports science. So describing the etymology of the word kin anthropometry can help illustrate, simplify what you are going to talk about. However, if you have to say just a few sentences about the general scope of anthropometry, some problem will arise immediately. First, is it a science? Why are its central definitions so ambiguous and various? For what really matter the kin anthropometric assessment? And so on. There are a series of such terminologies there. Defining a particular aim for kin anthropometry is essential for its full understanding. So we may say that, like there are series of definitions given by several sports anthropologists, or we can say that kin anthropometry is a scientific discipline that studies the body size, the proportionality, and the performance of movement, the body composition, and the principal function of the body. And if we try to understand from this definition, its applicability are we can say that the application of kinanthropometry. So the application of kinanthropometry holds a significant position in various fields. Kinanthropometry is adjudged as the specialization of science concerned with the measurement of human body composition and is considered as the cross point between anatomy and movement. In its application, it involved a series of human body measurements, and the data thus gathered directly or calculated are used to produce various indices to describe physics. Keeping in view the changing lifestyle, nutrition activities, several other levels, ethnic composition of the population, changes in the distribution of body dimensions are forever occurring. So kin anthropometry play a significant role by human or by using human body measurement and determining its capabilities for functioning and movement in a range of settings. It is analogous to mechanistic approach to human motion or anthropometry. However, the study in kin anthropometry are confined to width, length, and girth measurement. Instead of altering that arise in a human physique out of physical training. So the contribution of kin anthropometry lies in solving problems related to growth, related to nutrition, related to exercise and performance. And we will say that it is concerned with the it puts an athlete into objective focus and give a clear evaluation of the individual structural status or provide for quantification of different growth and training influences. Without understanding growth of individual and their structural evolution, selection of talent and monitoring of training would not be productive. It provides the indispensable structural basis for the consideration of athletic performance. We may say that kin anthropometry had been widely used in predicting the increasing secular trend in body size of population and among different populations worldwide. The criteria developed for this research can be used as a standard for recruitment in disciplined forces as well as for streamlining and improving the basic measurement skill for the manufacturer of uniform and equipment, even in the defense field also concerned. We may say that the human body has been studied for thousands of years, but the introduction of the concept of body component study and the progression from the study of corpuscles led to the increasingly accurate quantification of the living human physique. As a result of increasingly precise evaluation of human body, there has been development of numerous theories, advanced approaches and technique, and invention of a sophisticated instrument. So there are various concepts that lead to further understanding of human physics. In anthropometry, along with anthropometry, somatotyping, human anatomy, and physiology. It play a very important role. If we try to understand, we will see. Even take the example of somatotyping, the three different form of endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph is beautiful understanding and describing its relationship with their body form, with their structural development, with their morphological feature, and so on. And several has such important study has already given by several scientists concerned. So the importance of morphological characteristics in the performance of sports event has certainly been recognized. It's become imperative to study the morphology of sports persons in order to make an assessment of how close their physique and morphology is with respect to the champions or at various levels. The physique of the Olympic players can be considered to be an ideal in their respective event. Nevertheless, just about every time the new records are being set up, there comes up reports on human getting bigger, larger, and maturing faster during more than 10 decades. So this implies that the most desirable physique of today may not exactly be so in the future. However, with no compromise on muscularity, the investigation through keen anthropometry are of fundamental significance in creating the prerequisites as well as the trainable characteristics of sports person and athletes. Structure, stature, leg length, arm length, and so on do not seem to change under normal circumstances. Therefore, athletes in a particular sport need to have such distinctive characteristics which would benefit him or her during the game. Means here to say, let me try to wind up with a small statement is that many times we never give importance to anthropometric informations or anthropological evaluations are their measuring values. Generally, if you see, each and every sport require specific morphological feature and characteristic. If at the time of training, when we start giving training to persons who are interested in sports as their future, if you start giving training as per their anthropometric or morphological values concerns, obviously the result or the performance of that particular sports as well as the result of the performance of that particular person, I'm sure supposed to be much more better rather than just accepting, promoting, or selecting any as a sports where you think that you may be much more better, but the result may not be. After a practice of a couple of years or 4 or 5 years, when we came to know that the response is means you fail to justify yourself as far as your training concern. Obviously, over there, this all this morphological value will surely give you the answer of your failure as well as success. Each and every game, each and every position of the game, each and every distinctive role in the game is always very much related with their morphological and anthropometric characteristic. If we try to understand that part, like how much is the flexibility is required, how much is the leg length is required, how much is the hand length is required, about the movement of right leg, right arm, everything, circumference of the body, your cardiovascular features, each and every has some specific role. The moment we try to understand, even during the time of the training itself, obviously the result of the sports will be much more better. And I've personally carried out series of such experiments where we find it that the performance of the persons were totally different, and the result is supposed to be much more acceptable. That's all for today. There are a series of other activities are there to be discussed. I will share my some of the study materials with you all. You can go through that. And if there is any questions, anything to be to clarified, I love to be a part of that. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Professor Ajeet Jaiswal. So we have two questions from Sir Bland. I think I'm pronouncing it rightly. To first question to Professor Wolf. Professor Wolf, he wants you to differentiate between the terms of play and sport. Or do you find those terms to be interchangeable? So it is his question. Please unmute yourself. Yes. Wolf, Professor Wolf, you are not unmute. Please, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
So this is a very good question because it shows how much our concept of game or of play is related to our language, and that there are fundamental differences even between English and German and Scandinavian languages, which have also this notion of a Spiel. This is a German term, Spiel, that means actually a movement, like in a dance. So what I'm saying is that when we talk about a Spiel, we always see the game side and the play side interrelated. And we don't make that difference which you make in English. And if you talk to a Chinese, you will see that the conceptualization of play and game is still different. But what is important is that games and plays are essentially basics of the human being. There is no culture where these dimensions are not realized and not because of the fact that we are born as open with an openness. You know, animals are much more closed in their system than we are, and we have an anthropological openness, and that play is related to imagination and to the fact, to insecurity, to inventions. You know, it is a creative side of the human being related to play, and that you find in all kinds of reports on important discoveries. You know, that people play and try it because they don't know yet the result. And so you have to encourage also young people to, you know, to play and to have this experience of life, of living, which is usually joyful and implies a lot of fun and happiness. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. We have one question to Professor Jaiswal from Chris. From Chris, yeah, he was asking about, sir, do you know about anything about enhanced games? He was asking about, for upcoming enhanced games. It is his question.
He's talking. He's talking about what?
Enhanced
Can you please
games.
repeat? Enhanced game.
Yes.
Enhanced game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, I'm not very clear with that.
Okay. Fine, sir. Then I have one question to Professor Jaiswal. Like post-COVID,
Please.
post-COVID, what do you think the relevance of sports anthropology as is there in India as well as across the world?
See, very frankly, post-COVID, we have realized three important things. One, way of living. Second, immunity. And third, the importance and relevance of our body growth and development concern. Obviously, if you see in all the three cases, the anthropology, anthropometry play a very important role. Okay, when we discuss about our immunity concern, strengthening of our immunity concern, daily routine activities, which we call it exercise, is very much required in order to oxygenate, deoxygenate our body. Proper respiratory, circulatory, as well as respiratory system has to be in a full-fledged, proper, coordinated, and balanced format. Without that, forget about the strong immunity system. So over there, the kin anthropometry play a very important role. So no doubt, if you see its relevance and importance, we have to think in a very specific manner because we have seen series of such side effects either in their given size concern, shapes concern, proportion concern, composition concerns, growth and maturation concern, even in the cardiovascular function concern, we have seen a series of such impact. And now also, if you see, if you go and study some such research activities concerned, they are discussing about this. They understand that there is some sort of understanding or relational feature between growth, exercise, performance, and nutrition.
Thank you so much, Professor. We have question from Noah regarding the club events. Yeah, we will, as we are entering into summer holidays, the whole Europe is getting into summer holidays. We will, I have some plans. Stephanie has some plans about the club. We will definitely update you, and you can join us from, we have, I will send you, I will see how can I send you the Google Doc file. You can connect with us and join our mailing list, as well as you can join our LinkedIn group. We have a LinkedIn group, proper LinkedIn group. You can join us. So I'm really happy and I'm really fortunate that Professor Wolf, you have made time to join, and Professor Ajeet Jaiswal, you have, since it's already night, you have family time, you have joined us. I thank both of you, and I thank Stephanie, Olivia, and whole team of Anne that you have given us platform to discuss these things. Uh, I'm very
I
hopeful
suggest
that
I
yes,
suggest why can't you develop some WhatsApp group or some specific social group where we try to introduce each and everyone properly, and we'll think about further proper collaborative research work where we share our knowledge, understanding, and thought and vision so that this club will may have a different vision.
definitely, sir. I will work on it and I will update to you, and we can have what I think we discussed last Stephanie and I discussed about a WhatsApp group last week. We will come with that as soon as possible and update all, and we can have great collaborations across. The next event will be post summer holidays. And Professor Wolf, thank you for making time. I am really fortunate.
My
Namaste
pleasure.
to all, and Olivia, yeah, you have something to tell? Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, and good night from my side, and see you soon
Thank you.
post summer holidays. Yes,
Thank you, everyone, for joining
Thanks,
thank you.
us.
Thank you.
everyone.